Here is the most up-to-date information about NASA. NASA is currently sending a group of science instruments and technological demonstrations to our nearest neighbor in the galaxy so that they can help people on Earth. By going to the moon on this mission, they will learn more about the surface environment and test technology that will be used by future landers and humans on the Artemis mission. The Nova-C lander, which was made by Intuitive Machines, was launched at 1:05 a.m. Eastern Time on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from Launch Complex 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It was launched from the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket at around 1:53 in the morning. The teams have proven that they can talk to the organization's Mission Operations Center in Houston. The sun is powering the spaceship, even though it is stable. These transfers are made possible by the Commercial Lunar Payload Services (CLPS) program and the Artemis campaign run by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, of the United States. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said, "NASA scientific instruments are on their way to the moon, which is a giant leap for humanity as we prepare to return to the lunar surface for the first time in more than 50 years. The CLPS initiative and the Artemis campaign are both new studies of the solar system that aim to better understand how planets move and change over time, look for signs of water and other resources, and support long-term human exploration programs. This is a momentous occasion for humanity." These risky trips to the moon will not only do new scientific study there, but they will also help the growing commercial space industry and show how powerful American technology and creativity can be. We can learn a lot from CLPS flights, which will help us figure out how to navigate human travel in the future for the Artemis generation. While they are on their way to the moon, NASA tools will track how much cryogenic engine fuel they use. As they get closer to the moon's surface, they will also try technology that is meant to help them land precisely and collect data on how the plume interacts with the surface. As soon as NASA's tools get to the moon, they will start working on studies in radio astronomy and how space weather affects the lunar surface. In addition, the Nova-C rover will have ritual reflectors on board. These will help set up a network of position markers on the moon. Future autonomous guidance technology will use these markers to talk to each other and find their way. On Thursday, February 22, the Nova-C class lunar rover called Odysseus, which is being run by Intuitive Machines, is set to land near Malapert A on the moon's south pole. This mostly flat and safe area is in the southern highlands, which are mostly made up of craters on the side of the moon that can be seen from Earth. This will also help mission planners figure out how to talk and send data back to Earth from a place where the Earth is close to the moon. A big step in the right way will be landing at Malapert A. Under Artemis, NASA scientists will spend about 7 days gathering important scientific information about Earth's nearest neighbor. This will help clear the way for the first woman and person of color to visit the moon for the first time. The newest NASA Earth research satellite was launched safely from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. The launch went well from hundreds of miles above the Earth's surface. PEACE will look into the effects of microscopic life in water and microscopic particles in the air. Both of these things are very small and are often not noticeable. NASA's Earth Science Division head, Karen Street Germain, says that the PACE project will use the unique view from space to look into some of the smallest things that can have the biggest effects. PACE is a mission that will use space to accomplish this, she stated. The PACE project will use polarimeters and a hyperspectral instrument to learn more about how the ocean and atmosphere interact with each other and how these interactions are affected by climate change. There are tiny plants called phytoplankton in the water that can grow into blooms that are so big that they can be seen from space. The Ola I-2 on Landsat 9 took this natural color picture of a flower off the coast of South Australia as an example. However, experts haven't been able to say for sure, just from looking at pictures from space, what kinds of phytoplankton cause blooms like this one. A hyperspectral ocean color instrument, OCI, from the PACE program will be used to measure seas and other bodies of water across a range of ultraviolet, visible, and near-infrared light. Scientists will be able to keep an eye on where phytoplankton is living and, for the first time, find out what kinds of communities of these organisms are present every day on a world scale. Scientists and managers of coastal resources can use the data to help them predict how healthy fishing will be, keep an eye on harmful algal blooms, and spot changes in the marine environment. 2 polarimeters are also on board the spaceship. These will help scientists figure out how the sun's rays affect the particles in the atmosphere. On top of giving experts new details about clouds and particles in the atmosphere, this data can also tell them about the quality of the air on a local, regional, and global level. NASA has been studying aerosols from space for decades, keeping track of where they are and how many there are. But PACE with its SPE zone and AARP2 polarimeters will change the game. When the devices look at aerosols, they will show their structure and size. This will help scientists figure out where aerosols come from and how they might affect other parts of the Earth's system. After being launched, the spacecraft was able to safely connect with ground stations on Earth. This allowed the teams to get early information about the spacecraft's health, operation, and abilities after launch. An in-depth post-launch assessment review will be done over the next few weeks to see if PACE is ready to move on to the operational part of its mission. Collins Aerospace has just reached a major design milestone for NASA. People at the company are busy making the next generation of spacesuits that will be used on the International Space Station. When a pressure garment system fit and functionality test was done in an environment similar to microgravity, it was a big step toward making a suit for NASA that could be used to keep operations going and help scientists make new finds in low Earth orbit. Columbia Collins was picked by the agency to design a new spacesuit that could replace the one that astronauts are currently using to build and take care of the space station. More than 20 years have passed since pilots first put on this spacesuit, which is officially called an extravehicular mobility unit. People who took part in the Collins test, which was done on a commercial microgravity plane, were given short periods of weightlessness. A parabolic flight involves a number of moves that are like those on a roller coaster. The goal is to create weightless conditions for about 20 seconds at a time during the flight. This means that students, engineers, and scientists can try technology and do scientific experiments in a place that mimics space gravity without ever having to go there in real life. The test was a key part of NASA's method for reviewing ideas for new projects. It was one of several checkpoints that are part of the project's planning lifecycle. Before making units that are ready for flight, these checks make sure that the design meets all of the system requirements. NASA is still testing its spacesuit in a vacuum chamber, where air will be sucked out to create a vacuum. This is done to see how the suit works in an atmosphere similar to space, as well as at the agency's Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory, a 40-foot deep pool at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. For astronauts training for spacewalks, this pool creates a setting that feels like microgravity. With this new breed of spacesuit that NASA made, people will be able to do spacewalks better in low Earth orbit. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, and its foreign partners are still doing scientific research that benefits people and shows off new technologies for future human and robotic missions. This technology is being developed to help with station maintenance and operations. And that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you for watching and see you next time.